When you think of all the needs around you, does it encourage you, inspire you, or does it make you want to throw up your hands and think, what could someone like me do in the face of all those needs? When I look at our ministry, sometimes I'll be honest, I think the same way. When I look at the hundreds of children we serve all week long, not just on Sunday, but also in our after-school program and in our preschool programs, when I think of all the people that are coming here, putting all of their courage toward recovery from addiction, and hundreds of people, when I think of all the families that we're serving behind the needs that come to our church each week, we could just throw up our hands and think, who is up to this task? Well, maybe we're not, but God is. And that brings us today to our character of faith, Gideon. Now, you may not know this story, but it starts in Judges chapter 6, where the people of Israel are described as being under such huge problems, they just have thrown up their hands. They're actually living in hiding. The Bible tells us that it was the plague of the Midianites and these plagues of these invading countries. And then they were like locusts that just devoured the land. And in the middle of it all, we meet this guy Gideon. But when Gideon talks about Gideon, when Gideon thinks about Gideon, he thinks of someone very small. Gideon is filled with insecurity. And when God approaches Gideon, God talks to Gideon. God says, Gideon, you're my man. Gideon says, you didn't read the resume. You got the wrong guy. And he begins to recount all the problems of Israel. He remembers that God used to do great things, that God brought the people of Israel out of Egypt. God used to do powerful things. But now, in their time, apparently that God has retired. But it's that God that's speaking to Gideon. And he says to Gideon, I'm the one that can do it, and I'm going to do it through you. Now, you know the famous story. Gideon lays out a fleece. Gideon asks all kinds of questions. Gideon's army is whittled down to where eventually there are so few warriors that if there's going to be any victory at all, it'll have to be God. But I want you to notice a key verse in Judges chapter 6 and verse 14. God says to Gideon, go with what you have, and I will be with you. Now, what does it mean, go with what you have? What it means is Gideon already has what he needs. He already has more resources than he acknowledges. God is saying, Gideon, you have what it takes because I am with you. When I think about our Love Forward vision, I realize that the challenge is great. We have committed to raising $12 million, and that $12 million is committed, every dime of it, to ministry in this city, in this nation, and around the world. We believe in what God is doing. We want to see Love First churches in proximity of every neighborhood. We want to see Love First church plantings bubbling up all over the world. We want to see Love First access for people who have been marginalized and denied access. We want to see that in every neighborhood in our city, our nation, and the world. Is that a big vision? Yes. Does it require courage? Yes. So it's normal for us to feel insecure. But like Gideon, what if we could just hear the heart of God and hear Him say, hey, go with what I've already given you, and I will be with you. So for some encouragement today, read the story of Gideon in Judges chapter 6, and let's see what God will do next through us.